I'm with you.
We used to have a record ready to go out.
The spotlight has always been brightest on Mick Jagger. From the moment he swaggered onto the stage with the Rolling Stones, he wasn't just a frontman. He was a cultural phenomenon, a symbol of rebellion, sexuality, and rock and roll excess. His pout, his sneer, and his electrifying moves made him a god of the counterculture era. For decades, fans saw the moves, the lips, the scandals, and the music that shaped generations. But behind the dazzling spectacle, the screaming crowds, and the platinum records lies a story laced with tragedy, heartbreak, and the crushing emotional cost of being a living legend. This is the story of a man who conquered the world, but, in many ways, lost pieces of himself along the way. A life where artistic triumphs are forever entangled with personal sorrow. Mick Jagger's rise to superstardom was as swift as it was seismic. By the mid-1960s, the Rolling Stones were not only one of the biggest bands in the world, but the embodiment of a cultural revolution. Their bad boy image set them apart from the squeaky-clean Beatles, and Jagger, with his magnetic stage presence and provocative dance moves, was the face of it all. Yet even as the band reveled in their growing success, cracks appeared beneath the surface. The pressure to constantly outdo themselves creatively while fending off scandals, battling addiction, and navigating the dangerous waters of fame took its toll on the band, and on Jagger personally. In 1969, tragedy struck the band when founding member Brian Jones, who had become increasingly isolated due to his drug use and erratic behavior, was found dead in his swimming pool. The loss was both personal and professional for Jagger. Jones had been a friend, a bandmate, and one of the architects of the Stones' early sound. His death haunted the group and marked a dark turning point in their journey. It was also a bitter reminder that the very excesses that fueled their music could just as easily destroy them. That same year, Jagger's personal life became equally turbulent. He embarked on a passionate but volatile affair with American model and singer Marsha Hunt. Their relationship was fiery and complicated, culminating in the birth of their daughter, Karis, in 1970. Yet, despite the intimacy of their connection, Jagger became increasingly detached, unable, or perhaps unwilling, to reconcile the demands of fatherhood with the whirlwind of his rock star lifestyle. Hunt would later recall how Jagger sent flowers and a car for Karis's birth, but wasn't present, reflecting the emotional distance that became a pattern in his relationships. This absent fatherhood became a thread that ran through much of Jagger's life, casting a shadow over his relationships with his many children. In 1971, Jagger married Bianca Perez Mora Macias, a stunning Nicaraguan socialite and activist. Their wedding in Saint-Tropez was one of the most glamorous events of the decade, attended by the global elite. Yet, behind the glittering facade, the marriage was fraught with infidelity, power struggles, and emotional detachment. Bianca, who later became a renowned human rights advocate, would admit that their relationship was essentially over on their wedding day. The fairy tale collapsed under the weight of Jagger's relentless pursuit of new pleasures and the suffocating scrutiny of the tabloids. By 1977, Jagger had begun a highly publicized affair with model Jerry Hall, a Texan beauty who became his partner for over 2 decades. Together, they had 4 children and, for a time, seemed to cultivate a semblance of domestic bliss. They shared mansions, private jets, and the high life, but Jagger's restless spirit couldn't be tamed. The couple's relationship weathered numerous storms, including a devastating loss in 1985 when one of the twins Hall was carrying died in utero. It was a deeply personal tragedy that the public barely glimpsed, buried beneath the headlines about Jagger's latest escapades. Eventually, Even Jerry Hall reached her breaking point. In 1999, after discovering that Jagger had fathered a child with Brazilian model Luciana Morad, Hall ended their relationship for good. She later admitted that she had tolerated his countless affairs, believing that their family life was strong enough to survive them. But the ultimate betrayal was too much. Once again, Jagger found himself alone, a pattern of self-sabotage that mirrored the instability he had created around him. But it wasn't just his personal life that bore the weight of his contradictions. Professionally, Jagger navigated a minefield of pressures. As the face of the Rolling Stones, he was expected to be ageless, tireless, endlessly provocative. The 1970s saw the Stones produce some of their most acclaimed work: Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street, and Some Girls. Records that cemented their reputation as the world's greatest rock and roll band. Jagger's lyrical genius and stagecraft became the blueprint for countless artists who followed. Yet even as he reveled in the adulation of millions, he privately confessed fears of becoming a caricature of himself. In a candid moment in the mid-1970s, he famously quipped that he'd rather be dead than sing Satisfaction at 45, a statement that revealed the heavy burden of maintaining the image of eternal youth and rebellion. The creative tensions within the band also took their toll. Jagger's relationship with Keith Richards, once a brotherhood forged in musical alchemy, grew strained as egos clashed and lifestyles diverged. Richards mocked Jagger's attempts at solo projects, calling him Her Majesty, and accusing him of losing touch with his roots. For Jagger, the artistic pressures were relentless. Keep the band relevant, maintain the machine, and fight the ever-creeping sense that they were becoming nostalgia acts. But Jagger did keep singing and performing and reinventing. He led the Stones through the changing landscapes of music, culture, and technology, playing over 2,000 shows and adapting their sound to new generations. The very thing that made him a global icon, his relentless drive, also became his curse. As he aged, the rock star persona clung to him like a second skin, impossible to shed. In interviews, he would occasionally let slip the exhaustion and loneliness that accompanied his fame. He once joked that being a sex symbol in his 70s was hilarious, yet also confessed that fame made him feel helpless, useless, and irrelevant. In 2014, Jagger faced one of his deepest personal tragedies when his longtime partner, fashion designer Loren Scott, died by suicide. The news shocked the world, but for Jagger, it was a crushing blow that left him grief-stricken and searching for answers. He described being devastated and struggling to understand how someone he loved so dearly could end her life in such a way. The Stones postponed their tour dates, giving Jagger space to grieve. For once, the rock star's armor cracked, revealing the vulnerable man beneath the legend. His sorrow was compounded in 2021 when the Stones lost their beloved drummer, Charlie Watts, after decades of friendship and music-making. On stage at their first show without Charlie, Jagger broke down in tears, dedicating the performance to Our Lovely Charlie, his voice heavy with emotion. It was a rare glimpse of the deep bonds that, despite all the chaos, still anchored his life. Yet, through all the heartbreak, loss, and regrets, Jagger has remained a survivor. In 2023, at the age of 80, he released Hackney Diamonds, the Rolling Stones' first album of new material in 18 years. It was more than a record. It was a declaration that he wasn't done yet, that the music still pulsed through his veins, that the stage still called him home. The album was raw, energetic, defiant, a sonic testament that even after 6 decades, the fire still burned. Mick Jagger's life is a symphony of triumphs and tragedies, He is a man who scaled the heights of fame, only to discover that the view from the top can be cold and lonely. His story is not just one of artistic brilliance and cultural influence, but of the emotional cost of living in the glare of the spotlight, of losing friends, lovers, and even pieces of himself along the way. He once said he made music for a laugh, but perhaps, more than anything, he made music to survive, to make sense of a life that was often anything but. As the lights dim and the crowds fade, Mick Jagger remains on stage, dancing defiantly into the night. A man who, even at 80, refuses to let the tragedies of his past define him. Only the music. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on to never miss a video.